here. The title of my message is Don't Be a Moment, Be a Movement. It is something that my mother taught me from the time, honestly, as long as I can remember. We're not going to get into my mother's trailblazing story and the legendary people that I've been around that allowed me to be the individual that's in front of you today. If you have a moment, please check out Mike's podcast. We go very, very in depth with that. But she used to tell me all the time that you live life forward and you understand life in reverse. And a part of that understanding is there are a lot of things that happen through the course of your life that you truly don't understand until you start looking backwards. And she decided to take the things that she understood backwards and make sure that I understood things moving forward. She also explains to us that life is a relay race. So a part of that relay race is the connection between the past and the future. And if you do your part, if you run your race properly, what you end up doing is you allow those who came before you to be immortal because the information that they give you is consistently being passed on and moved forward. So that's where we kind of got this quote from, and it's something that was pretty much beaten to my head my entire life. So let's go on to this moment right here. I'll never forget it. I don't know about some of you all, but I wake up super early in the morning, about 4:30. Sometimes I work out immediately, or sometimes I sit and I write. One of the big things I do is I write a lot. I'm writing a book called Thoughts on Paper, and it's just a bunch of things that come up into my head, and I just pour it out. And I started writing, and I was like, man, this could be a great speech. And it was, disconnection is the new connection. And I sat there for an hour and a half, and I wrote this speech, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna kill it. And I think that was on the 14th. I sent it to Mike, I sent it to Eric, I sent it to a few people. I got this thumbs up, this okay, man, this is a great speech. And what most people don't know about me is when I graduated from high school, I went to this school called Evans. If you're from Orlando, you probably heard of it. When I graduated high school, believe it or not, I was number 7 in my class. I think I had a 3.7 GPA. I had all these offers athletically to go and play and do all this other stuff. But truth be told to you, I formally could not write. And I could read, but not very well. I'm one of those people, if you sit down, if I go into a movie, I can tell you the script after watching a movie one time. It just goes into my brain like that. But I was very, very far behind. So I remember on January the 5th, oh no, this was January the 3rd. January the 3rd, I'm on this cruise. I'm almost at Costa Rica, I'm hanging out, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna send this speech to a few of my friends and kind of let them know, hey, this is how far I've come in my writing and my education over all these years. Obviously, I'm old now, but I can show them that, hey, you know, I've actually done it. And I remember sending that email, and I was like, all right, cool, went out, went and saw the sloths, did that whole thing. And I woke up the next morning on January 4th, and everything changed completely. I mean, completely world went upside down. But I'll get back to that point. What is a movement? A movement, well, what is a moment? We'll start with that. What is a moment? A moment is nothing more than a moment, piece of time, right? We have them all day long. We really overlook a lot of them. We don't pay attention to them, but that's a whole nother speech. What is a movement? A movement is a change in location, right? Location or place. And so what you really have to look at a lot of times in life, we find ourselves not paying attention to what it seems like it may be an insignificant thing that can actually change into something so much greater. For me, personally, it's always ego that gets involved. You always think that you know more. You think that you have it all planned out, just like my speech. You find yourself in the position where you're almost feeling like, well, I've got it under control. I think I know what I'm doing, but there's something so much more. And over the course of my career, and then over the course of my life, I've had so many of these moments. And honestly, they're not all athletic. I've bounced back and forth from an athlete to an academic, back to an athlete, to a community activist, to a community leader, to a philanthropist, and to a businessman. And there's so many different things, but all of them were by these small, subtle moments that if I wasn't paying attention and if my mother had not really instilled all those values into me, I would have totally missed them. The first one is pretty simple. My senior year at Florida A&M, I don't know how many people are from Florida, but Florida A&M, FAMU, they're known for their band in Tallahassee, Florida, right across the street from Florida State. There was this girl that I was dating. That was my senior year. I'm on cruise control. I think we had about 5-6 weeks of class. Everyone knows you're doing absolutely nothing at that point. If you plan your schedule properly, you've got basket weaving, and there's nothing else going on. Girl said, hey, I left my notebook in class. I was like, well, I don't know what to tell you. We had a guest speaker. Why'd you go to class in the first place? No one goes to class when you have a guest speaker. No one's doing it. We're going to FSU to go hang out and go eat and have lunch. I can't believe you're going to leave me and you're going to go to FSU. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But chivalry took over, and what did I do? I went into class. There was this guest speaker from this place called Life University in Marietta, Georgia. The guy was asking all kinds of questions about health and fitness and chiropractic and all this other stuff. Me at that time, I'm saying, hey, I know I'm getting ready to take my MCAT. I'm going somewhere to go to medical school. I have no worries about this at all. Not even a bit of it. I started answering a lot of the questions because at that time I had a personal training business and I was doing pretty well. I was able to answer his questions, and he just came up to me and was like, hey man, will you please just fill out an application? Fill out an application, fill out this scholarship. I don't know what's gonna happen. Me being me, I was super smug, like, yeah man, no one's going to life, you got to kid me, I'm not gonna go be a chiropractor. But this was yet a moment. What did I do? I filled out this application, ends up, I think it was 3 months later, they get back to me, hey, you're accepted into Life University, we're gonna give you a scholarship to go to school. Well, MCATs didn't work out like I thought they were going to. So what do I end up doing? I end up going to Atlanta. I end up going to Life University. Great experience. That was the first part of me getting onto this journey. And it all started, why? Because I took a moment where I was supposed to go somewhere else and I allowed myself to be open to the possibilities. Now, once I got to Life University, here goes another moment for me. If you all think I'm going to talk about golf, I'm really not going to, unfortunately. I was in class, graduated from Florida A&M as a biology and chemistry double major with a minor in math. And to be honest with you, I've never used my degree one bit. But I went here to go and said, all right, well, I'm going to figure out this chiropractic thing. Maybe I'll go be a chiropractor. And I got looped in like most people do. Oh, you're going to make $150,000 a year. I'm like, sweet, cool, no problem. It's great. It sounds real easy. Not the truth. And as I started going through chiropractic school, I realized that it just wasn't for me. They started talking about innate this and all this other stuff that I just couldn't really get down with. And it was a little awkward, but lo and behold, there was a professor. I was starting my long drive career, and I'll never forget, he told me, if you have an opportunity to go, go. The school's been here for 60, 50 years, something like that. It'll be here when you come back. I just thought he was talking. I ended up getting sponsored by the school. It was an NAIA school, so there probably would have been some NCAA infractions, but since it wasn't NCAA, it wasn't. And I went all around the country playing golf, actually, and then I had the opportunity to go play. But I didn't think it all the way through, if I'm going to be honest. I told them, I said, all right, hey, I don't know how to tell you guys, but I'm going to leave school and I'm going to play golf, because they had a thing where you had to go to class. It was mandatory attendance. I'm used to traditional college where you go and it doesn't matter as long as your grades are good. I didn't understand when I got kicked out of school that I was kicked out of the dorm that I was in. I had no place to live, and I didn't know how I was going to call my mother and explain to her that I got kicked out of school being a grown man doing what I wanted to do. So here we go again with yet another moment. A part of this moment means that I was sleeping in my car. I was sleeping in the parking garage at the school that I had just got kicked out of, and that's what it was. Now most people say, oh man, that's a crazy story. I can't believe you were sleeping in the car. The story is worse. The car that I'm sleeping in is so much worse. Any car fanatics in here? A few of them? Okay, cool. I was sleeping in a 2008 650 BMW coupe. Yes! Which I could not sell because I didn't know how to explain to my mother that I sold my car. That would not have made much sense. So I put all my stuff in storage, and I found myself going through this up and down, sleeping in the parking lot at Walmart, going to different golf tournaments, scramble tournaments, and putting food in my trunk so I'd have something to eat, going to golf courses to practice, and showering when I didn't have gas, walking from campus to the PGA Tour Superstore or to the range to go hit balls. And it looks really, really weird walking down Barrett Parkway with a golf bag on your back, just walking in the middle of 6-lane traffic in Georgia. But here we are again with another moment. All these are things that I understood that could have changed my life, but I also knew that I was going to have to go through some adversity to get to that point. When I get to the next moment, we're going well past everything else. I've done very well in my sport. I've won, and I have to do something. I have to be the light that was given to me. And so what do I decide to do? I decided to start a scholarship fund at my old high school. It's not the most academic high school in Orlando for people who are there, but it's me all day long. If you look at it, anything I've ever done, I've never ever said I'm from Orlando, Florida. Anytime you look at any of my media, it always says Pine Hills, Florida, because that's where I'm from. That's where I was born and raised. That is something that's near and dear to my heart. And I decided when I was in 2018 at World Championships, I know we talked about somebody being super religious before, so I'm gonna give you one of those moments here. I'll never forget, I have this thing where I have visions, and prior to me going, I remember I had an interview with the Golf Channel, and they asked me, what do you have to do to be the 2018 Volvik World Long Drive Champion? And my answer to them was simple, just be Maurice, just be myself, because everyone else is taking. What people didn't know while I was sitting in that interview is I was going through testing, because there was something in my body, everything felt off. I couldn't do anything but sleep all the time. I just felt groggy, worn down. And I remember telling my brother and my mother, they bought tickets super early for World Championships because I was exempt. I said, hey, be honest with you guys, just don't come. That interview was 2 weeks before. I said, just don't come. Get your money back for your tickets, get your hotel back. I can't make it. In the tournament before, I was absolutely horrible. I was run down, I was beat. I went to the tournament, and I had this moment where I won the first day, which I had never ever done. I normally got my head beat in and I was back against the wall in the losers bracket. But somehow I won every set that first day. My dad was there, and when we left, he said, hey, do you know what you just did? I was like, yeah, I made it to tomorrow. He said, no, you won every set. You won every set by a minimum of 20 yards. I said, are you serious? Went back, looked at the sheets. Okay, that's weird. I went and I took a nap, and took this nap, fell asleep, woke up in my dream. I had this thing where you're walking underneath and you're underneath the tunnel, and there had all these past champions. So when you're walking up to the stage, there's nothing but these pictures of people who have won world championships. And then when you got to the end, you took a right. There was nothing there. And in my dream, I had this really weird vision that it was me in a pink shirt, which is normal in the finals, but I had on khaki pants. If anybody's ever looked at any of my stuff, I never wear khaki pants. It was the lamest outfit I ever could have picked in my closet. I honestly didn't even know I had a set of khaki pants. Honest, true story. Somehow, I had a pair of khaki pants in my suitcase. I said, okay, well, this is what I'm wearing. Get up the next day, I do the same thing when we're competing. Go through, beat, win by 30-something yards. I'm like, I get on the phone immediately and I call my brother, I call my mom, I call my stepdad. I need you all to get here. What do you mean? I'm gonna win, and you need to be here. If you're not here, I'm not gonna win. My dad's saying, well, I'll stay. You need to go home because you're not supposed to be here in my dream. And so, as you all know, I end up winning world championships that year, but here we go again with yet another moment. I couldn't sleep. So every year, I couldn't sleep the night before. I always fell apart because I couldn't sleep. I remember there was one night before where I woke up, and I was like, okay, you're gonna win, but what are you gonna do with the money? What do you mean what am I gonna do with the money? Go spend it, what's wrong with you? And I went back to sleep and I was like, all right, come up with something more practical. And I ended up having to write out what I was gonna do with $125,000 plus my bonuses, plus. And one of the things I had to do, I said, okay, I'm gonna come up with a scholarship fund at Evans High School and at Dr. Phillips. I'm gonna name the one at Evans after my parents and my grandparents, and the one at Dr. Phillips, I'm gonna name it after my mom. I go to sleep. I wake up, can't sleep again. It's like, okay, what's going on? I've already decided what I was gonna do. And I heard this voice say, write it down. Okay, so I'm staying in the La Quinta. If you've ever been to Thackerville, Oklahoma, there's not a lot of great options to stay there other than the Windstar, but I was staying at the La Quinta, and still to this day, I have this piece of paper where I wrote down that I was gonna give out $5,000 scholarships to Maynard Evans High School out of my own pocket. I wasn't gonna crowdfund it, I wasn't gonna do anything. That's another moment. And I end up winning, and then we end up getting the money, and so on and so forth. Now we move forward to January, where my world gets turned all the way upside down. So I told my friends, I was like, hey, I got this speech, I've been writing, Every single person, now mind you, the two people who were here, who I sent the speech to, oh man, that speech is brilliant, this is great, this is absolutely awesome. like, sweet, all right, impressive, because I have no clue what I'm going to talk to people who I'm not in their industry about. Well, I sent it to all my friends and my cousins and my aunt and my mom. There wasn't a single person that I sent it to personally that did not trash my speech. Absolutely trashed the speech. And I was like, wow, words actually hurt. But I had to take a moment and I had to think about what I was doing. I said, well, put the ego aside, put it in your pocket and ask yourself, did I send it to them off of a whim? Did I send it to them because I wanted their approval? Or did I send it to them because I wanted help? And if I sent it to them because I wanted help or I wanted their approval, I also had to accept not having their approval. Sometimes in life, you end up with people who are there to help. And a lot of times in business, we find ourselves in these situations. We don't take constructive criticism very well. And the reason why we don't take constructive criticism very well is because we all have up walls. There's not a person in this room who doesn't understand the pain of success. You had to do it your way. You had to jump through hoops. You got kicked. You got pushed. You got beat up. You had to do all of these different things to become who you are sitting in this room as a business owner. And by doing those things, you build up a wall. What you'll find yourself is, instead of having that wall up, replace that wall with a fence. The fence allows you to see what's on the other side versus a wall. A wall, you can't see the faces. All you can hear is the criticism being yelled over the wall. A lot of times when you have a fence, you'll hear the criticism, but you'll see the face. You'll see the face as a familiar face. You'll see the face as a smiling face. You'll see the face is actually attached to a set of arms that are stretched out to either hug you, help you, or pull you along. And so a lot of times when you look at it, we miss our moment and our movement because we allow our ego to get in the way. Now, I could have easily taken this speech and said, oh man, all right, I'm just gonna stick to my guns and I'm gonna do it because I've done it my way this whole time. I became a world champion. I'm the only person to hit a golf ball across Niagara Falls. I did all this stuff my way. But then we go back to the relay race. There's not a person that comes in contact with you, business or professional, that isn't there for a reason. Part of them being there for a reason is to get the best out of you. And the part of getting the best out of you is you challenging yourself and allowing your ego to get it out of the way. In order for you to become a better you, every single time, an old piece of you must die. So a new piece of you can be reborn and a better piece of you can move forward. That doesn't mean you forget who you were before. You just forget the bad things. You forget the hurt part. You forget the pain part. When I first came into doing this, I thought all about me. I was like, man, I'm gonna have the opportunity to be a keynote speaker. This is absolutely great. Me, I. Well, how does that help? How does that help you all? How can I give you all something that allows you to continue to move forward, something that you all can take with you going on? My first speech, you all would have got up, you would have clapped, hey, great speech, this is awesome, wonderful. But you wouldn't have taken anything with you. This speech, hopefully, is something that you can use in your everyday life as a manager, as an owner, as a higher level employee. It helps remind you of the people that you have working with you. Not necessarily for you, but with you. Because you all are a team. As much as I would love to throw Alex under the bus, there's no need to. Because he was my partner that day. We were a team. And it was a part of what we were doing. There was a relationship and a bond that was built there. And sometimes we tend to forget that because the pain and the sting of what's happened to us before outweighs where we think that we're going. When I first got this speech, I honestly didn't even look at it as the possibility of what I could do by standing in front of all you amazing people in this room. I didn't think that, this is an opportunity for me to start my speaking engagement platform, me moving forward and having other speaking engagements. I didn't think about the fact of I could put a QR code up here where you all can donate to the scholarships that we're giving to my high school. I never thought about anything outside of myself, but it wasn't until the day when I got all those emails and the barrage of emails, and if your mom sent you one, it hurts. That I started thinking about something so much bigger than just the moment. I started thinking about the movement in which this could become. So what I would challenge you all to do, honestly, is think about why you're sitting here. Think about the connections that you can make here. Think about the people that you're going to meet here. Think about the information that you're going to get while you are here. And don't allow this summit just to be a moment in time, something that you go back and you just keep moving forward. Really embrace it and start it to become a movement. Allow it to be something that changes you. Allow it to change your community. Allow it to change your industry. Allow it to change you as a human being, and then move forward from it, because there's so much experience. There's so much of a wealth of knowledge sitting in this room alone. A lot of you all may just be starting out. Some of you all may be on the tail end. Some of you all may be in the middle. But I can assure that you all will all find some common ground where you don't have to fight so hard moving forward. Each and every one of you all can help each other. So that's my challenge to you all. Don't allow this to be a moment, but allow it to be a movement. Thank you guys so much.